Okay everybody, how's it going? This is Big Lair here. I'm doing these videos for Samantha's Peeps on Discord. Yeah. It's been a while since I did my last videos. How long has it been? Over a month, I think. Lots been happening then. I've been pretty lazy the last 4 to 6 weeks. I haven't gone to the gym at all, which is strange for me. I've been doing some kind of training. Oh man, several times a week for about the last 30 years, more than 30 years, I think. Well, once in a while around my birthday, though, I'll have these, like this year, I'll just stop exercising for a number of weeks. And then I feel like a real lazy slug, and I notice like my arms are getting all like jello and stuff, so then it usually motivates me to get back into it. And it happens around my birthday, which is interesting, huh? Not every year, but anyway, that's what's going on with me. Okay, this first video here, and I want to try and keep these videos under 15 minutes because that's pretty easy for my phone to upload. Okay, this first video here, I want to make it about sleep paralysis, and then just talk a little bit about like a couple simple rules that I have. Okay, this was a number of weeks ago on Discord. People were talking about sleep paralysis. You know, like you wake up and you can't move. You feel like there's something heavy on your chest. Something going on. Maybe it's a negative entity or something. Okay, here's my understanding of that. Now, there may actually be a case where, you know, you wake up and you got some weird negative thing sitting on your chest, or there's someone in the room. Could be possible. You know, I'm not going to say it could never happen. I would say probably the percentage of people with that happening is 1% or less. That's just from my experience. Okay, here's how it works. And this is just, you know, my understanding of how it works. So if someone is out there and doesn't agree with me, that's fine. Okay, so we have two bodies, right? Maybe you know this already. We have this physical body, you know, the body that we can touch, and then we have our astral body. And when we sleep, you know, those two bodies are always together. And then when we sleep, our astral body raises up, I don't know how far, but a number of inches, a number of centimeters above our physical body. And then just before we wake up, that astral body comes and connects back with our physical body. And in my experience, I've woken up before, and it sounds like, you know, rushing wind, like you're in a tornado at times. You feel like you can see, you know, something in front of you, another person, but it's always been my astral body. And for whatever reason, you know, I woke up, or you've woken up before these two bodies had a chance to click back together and become one. And you know, I have had sensations in that state, right, where you feel like, oh, I can't move, but you know, I can see things with my eyes, and you know, you hear this really loud noise. That's exactly how it is when your astral body separates from your physical body. Now, if you're able to do that at will, and I practiced this a number of years ago. I know some of you mentioned the Monroe Institute. Is that out in Virginia, in America there? I was actually in Virginia a number of years ago. My brother was in the military, long story short. He was being sent off to what we call the Persian Gulf War. That was back in 91. Of course, this was before the war started, so there wasn't the name. Remember, it was Operation Desert Storm or something, right? So just before this, I was visiting him, and then he was in the Army. His unit was told, hey, we're going to war, so get ready. And it was prolonged a number of months. So I'm out in Virginia. and I'm at a book. So I stayed with my brother and his wife for a number of months until he got sent off to the war, thinking I might not ever see him again. So I got a book from Robert Monroe, which I believe is the guy who started this Monroe Institute, on how to do astral projection. I read the book several times, followed it to the letter, and got to be where I think I was, out astral traveling. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration. I don't know what I can say. It's not, for me, it was not an easy thing. It was, well, I had lots of time on my hands, right? I was spending, it was like summer vacation between, college. And so I had a lot of time. I wasn't working or anything. I was just hanging out. And so in the afternoon, I would try this, and then every night I would try it. And got pretty good at relaxing myself. Like within 5 to 10 seconds, I can put myself in a state where I can't physically feel anything. I just feel like I've melted into whatever, So in my experience, when your astral body separates from your physical body, it's sometimes a very loud popping noise. When I had my near-death experience, it was the same. It was this incredible boom, this pop, and then there I was, above my body. Anyway, so I just wanted to say, a lot of you who are having sleep paralysis, and I've read all the comments that people have written about it. I think probably the majority of you, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 99% of you are simply experiencing this phenomenon where your astral body has not reconnected with your physical body yet. And don't panic. Don't panic. Just think, well, and it's really funny, years ago I met this Indian woman. I don't know if we can call her an Indian medicine woman, but possibly. She gave me lots of good advice. She's the lady who told me about trees and how you can communicate with trees. And wow, looking back, she really saw my life, like what was going to happen, and she gave me all of this advice. And one of the things she did was she explained just what I explained to you, and she said if you're in that situation, sleep paralysis situation, or if you wake up and you just feel really groggy, like, Jesus, I slept enough, but I'm still really tired, it's probably because your astral body has not connected fully with your physical body. And you simply have to say, my two bodies will now become one body immediately, and so it is, and so be it. And then while you're saying that to yourself, visualize that you have two bodies that are slightly off, and then visualize them like, coming together. And I've used that numerous times. Sometimes after saying it, I've actually felt like a jolt almost, like the hairs go up on the back of my neck, or I feel a very nice sensation in my spine, which is a Kundalini thing from my experience. But anyway, it works. So if you can maintain any calmness when this is happening, just imagine your two bodies going back together as one. And like I said, 99% of the people, I think it's simply that. There's nothing dark, there's nothing sinister going on. That's just what I think it is. Okay. How long have I talked here? Okay, almost 10 minutes. The second thing I want to talk about are these a couple rules that I've always had. Very simple rules, but in my experience, they're a bit hard to follow for a lot of humans. Okay, now, I never knew what a Ouija board was until I was 16, 17. And I had met a Belgian foreign exchange student, this girl, and was hanging out with her. And she was doing a homestay with a doctor, a very well-known doctor in my hometown. And lo and behold, one of the daughters said, hey, let's Larry's over here. Let's play with the Ouija board. And what's a Ouija board? I had never even heard of a Ouija board, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. I was 16, 17. Never heard about a Ouija board. They pull this thing out, and immediately, now I know, at the time I didn't know who was giving me this information, but I would say my spirit guides were. They said, no way, get the hell out of here. You're not playing that game. It was almost like I was being pulled backwards by this invisible group of people saying, no, don't even let them open the box on this thing. And so I just sat there like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not right. And they're, no, come on, that's fine. We do this all the time. And da-da-da-da-da. So this doctor's kids who were, teenagers, they seemed to have done it a bunch of times. And this Belgian foreign exchange student had done it in Europe. But my guides were like, no way. Don't get anywhere near this thing. And I actually felt, something was not right. Like, I was at a zoo one time here in Japan. I'm going off on a tangent, but it's related. So I'm trying to explain this negative feeling I had about the Ouija board. I was at a zoo in Japan, and there was like the lion enclosure. And there was a couple female lions sitting out in this thing, and there was an area, I'm guessing it was about 5 meters. There's a 5-meter gap, if the lions got to the edge, they'd be about within 5 meters of you, and then there was like a fence with steel bars about waist high. So we're standing there looking at these female lions, and then a male lion comes out, and then the male lion immediately is watching someone behind me. I can tell that. So I look behind me, and it's one of like the zookeepers, someone who feeds the animals. And the lion saw that guy, boy, and it was just like, he zeroed in on that individual. And the lion started like roaring at this guy. You've seen the 20th Century Fox, before you watch a movie, they show 20th Century Fox, or no, is it MGM? I forget, but maybe it's the MGM lion. The lion's roaring, right? It was doing like that, but magnified, and you could tell this lion was really pissed off. So I made the connection, the lion doesn't like the zookeeper. God, I wonder what the zookeeper's done to the lion to create that reaction. And the lion got right up to that edge, and he's like, ferociously roaring at this guy. And it was such a loud noise. And it was one of these things that that just, went in and touched you right to the bone. And, I knew it wasn't good. And I'm there with my wife. And at that time, we had 3 kids. My youngest son was a tiny, tiny baby, and a number of friends. And like a voice said to me, you guys better get out of here. You better get out of here. And as the voice said that, I thought, why should we get out of here? And then I realized the lion, as he's looking at this guy walking by, still roaring, the lion's looking at the distance. Like he's looking down, and he's looking like where we are. And I just got the feeling like the lion's thinking, geez, can I make this jump? Can I make this jump? If I could, I'm going to get that guy. So I just grabbed my kids and said, okay, guys, let's go look at the horses, But it was one of those like, whoa, this is not a good situation. The hair stood up like on the back of my neck, which very seldom happens. It happened one time when I saw a big tiger shark swimming in Hawaii. I was pulled out in a, what do they call it, a riptide or whatever. I was pulled out really far into the ocean in Hawaii, and this huge tiger shark was underneath. And before I saw the shark, like all of the hairs stood up on my body. It was like one of those things. So anyway, this Ouija board experience was similar to that, but it was the first time in my life where I just thought, oh Jesus, this isn't good. Getting close to 15 minutes here. Okay, so that's the one rule. Don't mess with Ouija boards. The other rule is no alcohol or tobacco. Like that's been with me since I was a kid. I've had no interest in drinking alcohol or using tobacco. I didn't have my first beer until I was 25 years old. And I don't even drink, well, if I drink drink a beer, I'll drink 1 can. So a can of beer now is what, 330 milliliters? It's not even a full 12 ounces anymore. I'll drink half of a can and my wife drinks the other half. Or I'll have a glass of red wine. I like Chianti. Chianti Classico is kind of one of my favorites. I'll have a glass of that with dinner or lunch if the food is right. You know, I'm matching it with the food. Otherwise, I never drink. I have no interest to, and I think that's been an important thing. So no alcohol, no tobacco, no Ouija boards. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and make another one.